I ain't gonna give my secret out on short game and chipping and pitching, and that has more related to impact now. So we are gonna talk about chipping primarily today. So my definition of chipping and some of the people's definition of chipping may be a little bit different. So I'm gonna start from what I think or what I'm talking about, what chipping is. Okay, chipping in my mind is we can set up in a way that we can stand tall, okay, and we can stand bend over a little bit more. We can set up with a low open stance, set up wide. But in reality, is that chipping is a hand action through impact, where your hand is leading the club head through impact on the way through. Okay, so and never that we allow that club head to swing past our hands, and that's what chipping is. So, and we can use that same motion to hit the ball high or hit it low, but that is what my definition of chipping is. Now, at the same time, whenever we allow the club head to swing past our hand or allow the club head to catch up with our hands and then swing through in a short game shot, that is a pitching. Now, you can pitch it to hit it low. You can also pitch it to hit it high, but so low and high is not how I define what chipping versus pitching. Is how we release our hands through impact. So if I can move my hand through impact and keep that club head behind my hands and through impact, okay, now obviously after here, if I let it collapse, relax a little bit, that's fine, but it's through impact, my hands is staying in the head of the club head, that is chipping. Anytime that I allow my club head to catch up my hands to impact and swing past my hands, even though I can use that same motion and pitch it really, really low, okay? Now, obviously, you now see that forward motion, but that ball was right by where the first target is, probably only about 4 feet high, and that is still a pitch. I just hit a pitch shot low, okay? So that's my definition of chipping versus pitching. Now, if you come to see me in the summertime and ask me for a golf lesson, a lot of times I will probably take you out on chipping green, because by you learning how to chip properly, again, back to the chipping again, is keeping the hands ahead of the club head through impact, okay, with a little bit of body rotation. And I will teach a lot of that, because that would get you to understand what the proper impact is for golf, in the golf swing when we're trying to hit a full shot. So I don't know how many guys come in for a full swing lesson with me. I'd actually take them down to the chipping green and teach them how to chip, okay? So that's my definition of chipping. Chipping is keeping my hands ahead of the club head through impact, okay? And after impact, you can relax it, okay? And then you can have a little flip or roll or whatever, that's fine. But it's really just, you don't have to try to maintain your hands ahead of the club head through impact into follow through, okay? All we're talking about is this 1.5 foot section right here. So, okay. All right, any questions so far in regard to chipping versus chipping, my definition of it? All right. Just let me look at the comments real quick. Okay, doesn't look like anybody has questions right now. So, so going forward, let's talk about how to chip. Now, the first thing in chipping that I always talk about is setup. Now, a lot of people has played a lot of sports, a lot of people has played some golf, and what happens, so when we set out to hit a golf ball, especially with driver, we always have this little extra tilt that our body, our spine is tilted away from the target. And in chipping, because we are not going to utilize our body as much to create a lot of downforce, so we actually going to set up in a way that our spine is actually almost vertical, okay? Your field is leaning towards the target, okay? I'm not saying to move your weight to the target, to your left foot. I'm saying to tilt our body and our spine towards the target. And that's what your field should be, okay, to perform a good chip. I know we always hear about a good instructor, a good golfer talk about put their weight on the left foot. This is similar to that, but the way we achieve it is by tilting left to your target, okay? And that will promote a slight downward descending blow into the golf ball. And so that's how bicep. Now, normally when we talk about chipping, we have you first start out with your feet is slightly narrower than the shoulder, okay? And most of the chip shot, I would recommend just play straight out from middle is fine. From that point on, we can start working on all the different variations. But just so right now, at first, shoulder just slightly narrower than your shoulder, okay? The feet slightly narrower than your shoulder, I'm sorry. And have your tilt forward just a little bit, have ball play off the middle, okay? So that's what we like to see at first. After that, we'll actually start making a little bit more variation, a little bit more changes to accommodate that. And another thing that we want to talk about is when we hit our chip shot, we are trying to make contact on the first 3 grooves of the club face, okay? We are not trying to hit a high on the face. Wherever you hit a high on the face, it means that ball, we actually have a little flip through impact, and that ball actually climb up the face and release out. Whenever you hit a short game shot that way, there's not gonna be a lot of spin, and that ball is gonna come out a little higher and softer without actually has less spin. Okay, so when we hit chip shot, because we're trying to hit it on the first 3 grooves on the face, and that will actually make the chip shot sound more like a click. So it should not sound very, very marshmallowy like you do in a full shot or like this. Okay, so you can see that I hit that ball almost like about 4 or 5 groove up here. Okay, it should sound more like click click type of thing. It should not be very soft or marshmallowy. It should sound a little bit more like this. It almost sounds like we top it. And if you look at that ball mark is down here. Okay, so for hitting out the bottom 3 grooves of the face, now you'll say, oh my God, I'm gonna blade it over. All right. As long as you can keep your hands ahead of the club head, there's no way you're gonna blade this shot or top it. Anytime that we top the golf ball is because that club head swing past your hands and expose the leading edge and catch up the golf ball this way. And that's when we top it. That's when we hit a top or blade chip shot. So follow the fundamental of chipping, which is narrower stance, feet slightly narrower than the shoulders, have lean towards your target. And the next thing is actually keep your hands ahead of the club head on the way through to impact, okay? And that will be how we try to hit a chip shot. Now, a lot of times, because especially people that I teach around here, and I grew up around in Ohio, my learning of golf is in Ohio as well. So we play on all this nice, lush bent grass fairway, and what ended up happening is we don't have to become a very good chipper. And the sad story for me is, before I went out to try to play on the Asian tour, I thought I had a good short game. When I went out there, I play on this grass. I don't even know what it is. It's so loose and sandy in the roots that if I try to do what our typical chip shot is here in Ohio, I duff it. I'll hit a little bit behind it, and the turf, the sand is so loose, and I'll just go down, I'll just hit it fat every time. And here the turf is a little bit firmer that I can utilize the bounce and have it bounce into the golf ball. Over there, if I hit it a little bit behind it, and then the whole thing just collapsed. I mean, it's the turf where the grasses grow, it's actually looser than the bunkers that we have here. So, and then that's when I realized that I am horrible in chipping or short game, and that's how I actually figured out, because that's one guy was teaching me and trying to help me, and said, "Hey, Hung, you have horrible short game." I'm like, "No, I'm a good chipper." And then he started explaining what I'm trying to explain to you right now. And basically, I'm a horrible chipper. Anyway, okay. All right, so finishing this up. So another thing that I have to try to get in mind is that because we are trying to do this, that have the club head leading, have the hands leading the club head on the way through. So, but a lot of people has the habit of, or listen to somebody has been trying to do this, basically trying to retain the club head and shaft on the same line on the way through. So there's also an extra drill or extra practice I would like everybody to take, try to work on while working on chipping this, is we actually want to create a downward or forward motion through impact that we are actually creating a little lag, okay, through impact. And that will probably help you out in your full swing as well, but that should help you out in chipping quite a bit. So to do this drill is we are purposely not hinging our hands on the way back. So my left arm and the shaft may have a little angle, but I'm not trying to hinge my wrist up much at all. It will look almost dead straight. And then and the wrist hinge part or wrist break part actually happen during downswing is when I start pulling my club, my hands towards the golf ball, and I'm gonna create a little more angle like this, okay? And I want to maintain the angle into the golf ball and through. And that's gonna teach you the feeling of getting your hands in front, okay? So it's almost a little down cock action, a little creating a wrist hinge. So, and that is a really good way for you to learn how to do this, to keep your club head ahead, to keep your hands ahead of the club head through impact. So it's not lock it in and then lock it in, okay? It's here, and then we're gonna create a little bit of a wrist hinge on the way down and click it. So that's the motion that I want you to work on, and then this is the setup. Okay, again, back to setup again. Feet is slightly narrower than shoulder, and we are going to lean a little bit towards the left foot, so that way it's going to put my weight on the left foot. Okay, and then take the club back. Feels like this is pretty straight. I'm not trying to create extra wrist hinge here. Okay, on the way down, I'm going to create that wrist hinge on the downswing, and then strike it, and then the body will rotate with it. So hopefully it will look like this. Okay, so when you get a chance, try to work on that. And then that ball I just hit was a little bit high on the club face, so that ball went up high. So I did not do as good a job as I could. So let me try another one, okay? So ball's in the middle of the stance, lean forward, okay? And then create a little extra. So that was really good for me, okay? So that one, I actually create a little down cock action and held on to the impact and have my hands lead through impact. And that's what chipping is. So when you work on your chipping, this is get it set up right, okay? And then have that weight lean towards the left foot, okay? When I say weight, just remember our body is tilting this way towards my left foot, okay? All right? So we don't want any of this, okay? I understand that we have people talk about putting your weight on the left foot when you chip, and all of a sudden I start seeing this, okay, that you tilt so far away from, and it's just whenever I see that I just say, okay, we gotta start over. But anyway, so this is something I want you to start working on and try, okay? So that's chipping, and by you learning to do that well, you will actually translate that into your full swing, and your full swing will probably become a little bit better because you are actually starting to understand the mechanic and what it is to create a good downward swing strike through the golf ball and finish. And that's the same mechanic as we do. But obviously, you might be able to do that in chipping, but it might be hard for you to do that in the full swing still, because in the full swing, we need our body to support that downward movement because that club is moving so fast. So if your body is not supporting that, you might still flip it through impact, you might still roll it through impact, but but at least you're learning one of them already. All right, so that's it for chipping. And Brian, no. Oh, Brian, okay. Hey, Brian, I'm sorry. I'm not open this Sunday because hole 15 and 17, the green is still partially covered in ice. I'm hoping this Sunday that with that extra 50-degree weather, that everything will get melted, and I can officially open for Monday. Cross my fingers anyway, so. Alan, when you asked about Does that change the club that you want to use? So for me, I use, on chipping, I use the club based on the bounce, not so much the loft. Okay, by you using the technique I'm prescribing here, you're gonna hit chip shot fairly low. Okay, you're gonna hit chip shot, and I hit a lot of chip shots this way, and it's a low bump and run shot with a little spin. Now the spin is produced by you catching the ball on the last 3 grooves, or the first 3 grooves, or the bottom 3 grooves of the club. That will help you to create some of that spin. So whenever you hear that click, okay, it's not the soft marshmallow sound when the ball bounces off the height of the face. It's a click sound that when you catch it on the bottom of the 3 face, and then you will produce some spin with it. Even though if the ball looks like it's really low, has a lot of force behind it, and you actually got a lot of check on it. But that's my basic chip shot I teach to everybody. Yes, you will hit a little bit lower. So my recommendation, use your normal 54 degree, 56 degree, or 52 degree to chip with, and see how much lower you're chipping doing it that way. And if I happen to have a longer bump and run shot I'm trying to hit, I might go to a 9-iron or pitching wedge. But I primarily use pitching wedge, 54, 58 degree. But I use, because we are de-lofting the club back quite a bit, so you want to use a sandwich that has a little bit more bounce in it. If you start using something that has less bounce in it, then you'll actually have negative bounce, and that club will dig quite easily. So check the club that have bounce with it, preferably 12 degree or more when you're using this type of chipping technique, because our hands is leading through impact more this way through impact. So that way you definitely do want to have a little more bounce on there. So you don't want to, you don't want to take something that have very low bounce, so you become a negative bounce and you start digging into the turf. Okay. Oh, hey Mark. Why do wedges have different bounces? Oh my God. You guys have hour? All right, so bounce really, obviously you have a bounce angle, and you have the way that the club is carved out. This is on the heel side, we shave that off. That's a heel release. On toe side is a toe relief, and then this is the trail, the relief. Okay, or it can be a very square bounce. Bounce basically is talking about turf interaction. So on a certain type of shot, you want it to have almost a slight negative bounce that you can allows you to dig down into the turf. So, and that will be the type of shot that you want to hit it with, like probably from 3-iron all the way down to your 9-iron. That you are looking for something that actually help you to hit down on it, take a little divot, and go through. Okay, so most of those clubs has very minimal bounce, maybe like 3 to 5 degrees of bounce on those. And then when you start getting your sand wedges, where we are looking for a club that we can kind of skip through the sand and bounce through the sand that we don't dig, so we create more bounce angle. Okay, and same time when you have your lob wedge, that we're trying to hit a pitch shot that allows that ball to go up a little higher, and then allow the club to kind of climb up on the face a little bit. So we want to have a little bounce, but we don't want too much bounce, because if you have too much bounce, that club will actually bounce off the turf and bounce in the golf ball, and will cause you to skull that shot across the green. So a lot of what you choose in bounce is the way you go down into the golf ball and how the turf interaction is. So it really depends on how you like to hit your chip shot, pitch shot, and the situation that you use. If you like to open up the face and you want to get it down really low, you probably want to have the wedge that will have the heel part of the bounce that's shaved off. That we call that heel relief. If you like to hit something that's more off the toe and try to trap it down, and you might want to have a toe relief. So it depends on how you like to hit that shot and what you're looking to do. I would say go see a fitter with your wedge question. He will look at how you take your divot and how the turf interaction is with the club that you have. I mean, by me, I can actually literally look at if you have a club that you use for a while, or a wedge that you use for a while, I can look at where your spot that you have kind of a little more wear, then I actually know what it is that will work better for you. And then by just some interviewing questions, I can probably help you pick up the right bounce and the right bounce angle for you. But basically, it's depends how you come down in the golf ball. Okay, all right, so let me finish on chipping because everybody's gonna ask me now, all right, Hung, you just showed me chipping, but we hear people that will open their stance up, move the ball back or whatnot. Okay, all that are little variation that you can do or little things that you can do to help you hit the ball a little higher or help you to hit the ball a little lower or even help you to make your stance on uneven ground a little bit easier to hit that chip shot. So here are all the different things that we can do. Obviously, first thing is we can move the ball back in our stance. We can move the ball forward in our stance, okay? We can open up my stance a little bit. Obviously, I can close my stance, okay? And another thing that will affect the height of the shot is I can actually move a little further away from the golf ball and I can stand really close to the golf ball, okay? Now, so all that will affect how the shot is being hit, and all that will help you when you are facing with different kind of lies, or when the ball is extremely below your feet. What would you need to do when the ball is extremely above your feet and you're still trying to hit a little chip shot? What do you need to do? So all this is what I recommend. Go out to the chipping green, play with it. I will show you what I do. Not necessarily you need to do that, but if I want trying to hit something that's like super low with a little spin, what I would do is I play that ball off the back foot, have my left foot slightly open, stand closer to the golf ball, lean my shaft up, so from the down the line view, it'll look a little bit more like this, okay? All right, from the front view, it'll look like this. So lean that thing up and still tilt forward this way. Okay, and after that, using the same technique, okay, and that ball just went up there probably about knee high going through, okay. Now, using the exact same technique, if I want to hit the ball a little higher, but I don't want to flip my hands, okay, so this is pitching and releasing my hands, but I want to use that same chipping movement, okay. So I'm gonna play the ball inside my left foot. I'm still gonna open a little bit because that's gonna help me clear with my body, okay? And by the same time, I'm gonna move away from the golf ball a little bit, okay? And I'm gonna lower my hands on purpose and open my face up just a little bit, okay? So from the front, it looks like this, okay? From the down the line view, open my stance up, move the ball forward, open that club face up, lower my hands just a little bit, okay? So by me doing that, and we are going to use the same swing technique for this shot, okay? And then that ball, probably, I just flipped that ball up almost to as tall as me, a little bit taller than me, and barely make to the net. So, but I am using the same swing technique, which is not a lot of shaft hinge going back, and I'm creating that shaft. So this is the exact same swing technique. Open face, lean forward, okay, lean the face up, okay, and then same thing here is I can open up my face, lower my hands, okay, and oops, sorry, every now and then I suck. Let me try that again. Lean left, there you go, okay. So understanding the differences or all the little things you can do in your setup, and by us using the same swing movement, we can actually hit the ball a little higher, a little lower, or a lot lower, or a lot higher, just by utilizing those set up correctly. And that will help you, you know, take care of all the different lies that you might see, maybe a severe uphill lie, you know, like ball like this, severe downhill lie, ball below your feet, ball above your feet. Just by making all those little changes now. And my suggestion to you is, you know, when it's time to go out, when it's warming up, maybe this Sunday or Monday, go find a chipping green, get a handful of golf balls, create some situation for you, and try open up your stance, place the ball in the back, place the ball in the front, move the ball a little further away from you, raise your hands up, bring your hands down, and see what happens. And you will learn that through experience, and you'll become the best chipper there is, okay?